Hello everyone and happy new month. Welcome to News Generation. My name is Abigail Adomakwentri and I'm standing in for Efwa for a while. Let me tell you what's coming up on the show. We will tell you about a wave of riots in senior high schools across the country. The health sector seems to be in crisis as medical practitioners go on strike so governments can address their concerns. And young people who cross the Adenta Medina highway do so risking their lives. There are no footbridges, so they have to cross the roads amidst speeding vehicles. All this and many more coming up in News Generation. Do stay on.
News Generation, supported by
Cowbell with Vitamin.
Into our very first story, 31 students of the Nalirigu Senior High School in the northern region have been arrested. This happened after some of the students vandalized school property and stole 90 laptops. It is reported the students got upset when the headmaster of the school refused to allow them to have a jam. The students got even angrier when the lights went off. But that's not the first kind of violence in a senior high school. 2 weeks ago, the Karaga Senior High School and the T.I. Ahmadiyya Secondary School were closed down after students' clashes. Many are worried the actions of some students in some senior high schools. They resorted to violence destruction as a way of getting their issues addressed by school authorities. Some remedial students of Top Academy in Accra have been speaking about students and how they can get their issues resolved in a more appropriate way following a discussion.
So 3 senior high schools, all in the northern region, resorted to violence as a way of getting their issues addressed. We ask some students who have gone through the senior high school system, is that the right way issues of this nature should have been approached? So guys, do we think this is the way we as students should get our issues addressed on campus when it comes to dealing with our heads of schools?
That's a bad manner in which an issue should be addressed. Because if issues are supposed to be addressed, it's supposed to be, calmly, okay? Not, anger, fighting anger. It's going to make things worse. So if students need to address such issue, I suppose they have SRC representatives. Those people can move on to the administration of the school and then sit with the teachers there and then discuss or deliberate whatever they have to do. But instead of students taking the case into their hands and then trying to cause chaos, is a very bad attitude that students shouldn't put up.
Because I don't think that's the best way of solving an issue. When an issue pops up, there are schools authority as well as the SRC representative as well. So then if an issue pops up, there is the reason, there is the need for the students and the SRC representative and the school authorities to discuss what is all about. That's to having a solution to their needs. I think that's what should have been done instead of the demonstration.
On the hand of the students, what they've done is not very good. But we should also look at the cause of why they did that. I would say sometimes it's as the result of the attitude of the teachers. The teachers and the students sometimes do not have a good cordial relationship. So the students can just get up and do whatever they want to do.
It's very, very sad to see or to hear that students who are not yet graduates, they are still in school, and then there are school rules under them. So if you are not yet a graduate and then you are portraying such characters, then it means that when you come out, then you are going to be a threat to society.
They should have been patient. They should have been calm in order to sort out with the school authorities. But what they did, I don't agree with them. I don't buy what they did. And I think it's very devastating. We don't need such in the country.
A lot of people have also blamed the issue of teacher-student relationship as to some of the reasons for this kind of unruly behavior. What is your take on this?
I suppose it all leads to indiscipline. Because as students, we need to have that cordial relationship. But in everything, there should be a boundary. Okay, we may be very close, but not to a certain extent, because you are the teacher and then I'm the student. So definitely whatever you say, I must go or I must adhere to it. But if you just, leave it so open, students will definitely take advantage of it. But if there is a boundary, you, the teacher, you are disciplined. So definitely the student is going to also be disciplined from what you portray.
They've been cordial with them. I think that will promote the relationship as well as promote solidarity among the students and the teachers in the school. So I just think that would be good.
In your perspective as someone who has gone through the senior high school system, what do you think is the best way of addressing issues, especially when we disagree with our school authorities?
Okay, I would say, just as in every institution we have the rank. Okay, we have the SRC, which is for the students basically, and then we have the administration of the school. So if something like that should pop up, definitely you see your SRC president, the executives, and then you sit them down and then talk to them about what the teachers or the headmasters are doing. And then after that, they will move forward to the administration of the school. I get to me. They are going to have this meeting, a board meeting, and then decide on how the issues should be handled. But not necessarily you just stand up, as students, because there are many in their number, in quote. They think that is going to solve the issue, but that is not going to. That's rather worsen the issue. So with that, I'm sure with tolerance, okay, and then patience, their needs are going to be met instead of taking it the violent way.
The school authorities, I believe they are there to provide good services to the student. So if a policy is being enacted, the student, I think they should become, even if the policy is against them, I think they should become, because they see patient move mountains. So with patient, definitely there will be a policy which will be in their favor.
That is why in every secondary school there is a need for every school to make sure the students are able to vote or elect the people they think should be their prefects. So if a problem like that is to come up, the students should be patient, go to their prefects or their representatives, talk to them, tell them their problems, and maybe suggest ways to solve that problems. And then their prefects or representatives can also go to the administration or the management and talk to them. That, I think by that way it will solve the issue, but not through what they did.
And now to health, doctors in some public hospitals are on strike. But they are not the only ones. Pharmacists in government hospitals are also on strike, and some nurses are also threatening to go on strike, and it's all to do with their work. The strike has affected many patients. So what do you think about all these strike actions?
I think that the nurses and doctors who are deciding to go on strike should reconsider their decision. They should think about the human lives that are going to be endangered. I also think that the government should negotiate with them, sit them down and talk to them so that they can decide on an agreement.
I think the doctors should take their time, because when they stop working, a lot of people will be in a great risk. And the government too must make sure that you provide their basic needs for them, because especially the psychiatric nurses, because the psychiatric people, they are not all that, they have mental problems. One can harm each other. So to my opinion, the Ministry of Health and the Minister of Health too must negotiate with the doctors.
Even if the government is not having the money now, you should sit with them and at least chit-chat with them so that they will understand.
The inability of the government to provide the necessities of the doctors and the nurses can also lead to their strike, because the people who are sick will not get anyone to treat their sickness for them. There are lots of people on the streets of Ghana who don't have anyone to care for them because the nurses and doctors have gone on strike. So I'm pleading with the government to reconsider their decision and pay the nurses and doctors to help the people of Ghana.
The issue about the striking case of the doctors have affected many lives in this country. So the only advice I have for Mr. President is for him to reconcile the problem or the issue with the doctors and nurses so that they can help save human beings' lives.
They don't pay the doctors on time, so they go for strikes, and that affects the people at the hospital. The government must reconcile and negotiate to come together to work out their issues so that they will pay the doctors on time, so that they will help the sick people.
Our country is now a developing country, Therefore, we can't develop with our nurses going on strike. So I therefore urge the government to negotiate with the doctors and nurses and urge them on an agreement so that they can negotiate and maybe reach an agreement. Or maybe they can give them 40% of their salary so that they can come there.
Let's now go straight to Adenta, and when the construction of the Adenta-Madina Highway began, residents there heaved a sigh of relief. This is because footbridges were part of the road, but students and residents who live along the Adenta-Madina Highway have been abandoned. The project is at a standstill. For 2 years now, some young people there still struggle to cross the highway and tell us they fear for their lives every day.
These bridges were being constructed across the highway for safe crossing by pedestrians. But they have been left half done. The bridges and the rest of the road project were abandoned in 2013, even though the main road has been tarred. Hence, most drivers speed off whenever there's no traffic. These students face the most risk here. They cross to and from school every day amidst speeding vehicles. There is always a long wait before crossing the two-way dual carriage road.
It's very dangerous for we the students because normally the vehicles that are passing by move very fast and they also drive speedily. So at times, if we are not careful and we cross the road at that particular time, we might end up losing our lives.
It's very hectic. I came to this school 2013. That was when I cited that the overhead was in commence. It was being constructed, but up to date it has not been completed. And we students crossing the road is very abysmal. In fact, it's very difficult for us.
A mother here is also worried about how unsafe it is for young people crossing the busy highway.
Mami penny for, papa penny for, a school for, because was primary waha, JSS waha, SS waha.
There have been several instances of vehicles knocking pedestrians down, both the young and the aged. There are even schools around, and so children go through a lot. They always face the risk of being knocked down by speeding vehicles. So students wait for a long while and sometimes get to school late. Sometimes without the intervention of police, the school children cannot even cross. So we need government intervention.
These are the
overhead footbridges were meant for these students to cross safely, but they haven't been completed. So we want authorities to ensure that the contractors return to the bridges that have become white elephants.
They help sometimes to stop the buses for we, the students or other people, to cross the road. And when they are not around or they haven't stopped their vehicles, I don't think any student can pass. They can't pass because even last time we had an accident here where a vehicle collided with another vehicle. So, it's not easy. That's why I'm appealing to the government to come to our aid right now to help complete the project. That's the overhead.
I just plead with them to come back and complete the project they were handling, and then making the crossing of roads very safer and easy for us, the students, and even adults as well.
We'll go for a quick break now, and when we return, we'll be telling you about the first ever mobile ICT Expo. Don't go away. And we are back. Let's do some ICT story now. And the first ever Mobile and Information Communication Technology Expo has been held in Accra. Now, the Accra International Conference Center was turned into a technological hub for 3 good days.
From the 29th to the 31st of July, over 90 vendors in internet service, cell phone technology and sales, and government departments were all converged at the conference center for the 2015 Mobile ICT Expo. But the corner that was drawing crowds was the one where Letty Arts had set up. Letty Arts is a Ghanaian company that makes video games.
We are focusing on mobile games, but all the games draw on African history and tradition mixed with some fantasy. So the good thing of bringing in African mythology and history is to modernize African culture in the new media that people consume, like video games, comics, and all that.
That was Ariam Teria, founder and CEO of Letty Games, where you can play as characters from African mythology.
Pharaoh, Shaka Zulu, Ananse, Yasantua, Nzinga, so all these big historic figures from Africa, fantasized in new ways, come together today to fight Somalian pirates, Boko Haram, or so in the fantasy world we can create anything. So yeah.
You have 3 games and you have comics as well. How many comics?
Yeah, the comics are all around Africa's legends. So we have 2 comics that are out, Ananse and Africa's Legends as a team. Africa's Legends is a group of all the heroes that fight in super villains. Like it's a canopy, so it's mixed up with heroes and villains. And then both factual and fantastic characters. And we have Ananse, who is the first story of one of the heroes.
For organizers of the Mobile ICT Expo, this is a great way to showcase how mobile and information communication technologies are shaping up in Ghana.
So we're coming from the angle of the apps developers and saying that, look, we have been developing applications, but how many of them do you see on phones used by Ghanaians? How many Ghanaians do even know that there are application developers? There's a Kwekwananse game online that they could just download from Google Apps for free. We initially thought to do this with the device guys, and subsequently we said, look, let's pull everybody together, pull a pool. So we spoke to Huawei, we spoke to Surfline, and then they were like, great idea. So we tried to use that as a starting board together with the Ministry of Communications. And before we knew, it got into a huge project, which is here.
Now, who is a best friend to you? For me, it's someone I can count on, rain or shine, day and night, and in good and in bad times. The United Nations consider friendship very important, and so they mark Friendship Day every July 30. Now we caught up with 11-year-old Inshira Nyakun, who tells us about her best friend.
I'm Inshira Nyakun. I have so many friends, but I would say my best friend is Zoe Soa. She was born on the 3rd of June 2003. She's 12 years. We are both in the same class, same school, and we like to talk. We like to walk around and talk about things we see. When we get bored, we love reading. We have some things in common, like both being Monday borns, and that's ending the name Adra. But she loves to dance, and I like to sing. So at sometimes we spark up argues because of that, or sometimes because she's Ghana and I'm Chi. Her favorite subject is creative arts. She loves to dance, but I like to sing. That's where the opposing views come. She's quite dominant in a way, but she's mostly friendly, cheery. She's like someone who likes to talk to people, but when she gets quite tired of talking, then she likes to read or to dance. I hope that when we grow up, we are able to keep our friendship intact.
An 8-year-old has the world raving about his hands, his new hands at that. Doctors in Philadelphia transplanted someone else's hands onto Zion Harvey, who had none, and that's what's trending.
It's the first time this has happened anywhere in the world. Doctors transplanted donor hands and forearms onto an 8-year-old boy whose own hands were amputated when he was a toddler. Zion lost his hands and feet when he was 2 to a life-threatening infection that also led to a kidney transplant. Because he was already taking drugs to stop his body from rejecting the kidney, he was a perfect candidate for another type of transplant. The operation took about 10 hours to perform, and Zion became the world's first child to receive a double hand transplant. Since he lost both hands and feet, Zion secretly wished he might one day have a pair of hands, and now he's got exactly that.
When I get these hands, I will be proud of what hands I get.
Zion has responded to the surgery just as his doctors thought he would, but he still has a lot of physical therapy to undergo so he can get used to his hands. Doctors hope groundbreaking surgery will provide hope to children who are living without hands.
Before we go, let's get a final roundup of news.
The Ghana Health Service has asked retired doctors and those in private hospitals to help handle emergency cases at public health facilities across the country as doctor strike continues. The Ghana Medical Association says it will stop giving emergency care as it puts pressure on government for better conditions of service. Rescuers are searching for hundreds of migrants in the Mediterranean after the boat they were on capsized off Libya. Some reports say as many as 700 people were on board the overcrowded vessel. More than 2,000 migrants are said to have died in 2015 trying to cross the Mediterranean to reach Europe. A new world record for the largest ever vertical skydiving formation has been set. It was achieved in Illinois, America by 164 flyers who formed the shape of a flower in the sky. The group easily beat the previous record set by 138 skydivers in 2012. After only a few seconds in formation, the skydivers broke apart and landed safely on the ground. The official song for the Beijing Winter Olympics has come under criticism for sounding rather like a hit song from Disney's musical Frozen. It was announced on Friday that Beijing would host the 2022 Winter Olympics. Be the judge. Let us know. It's News Generation GH on Facebook.
And that'll be all for News Generation today. Hope you have enjoyed the show. My name is Abigail Adomako Enchi. Do have a good one.
News Generation, supported by
Cowbell with Vitarid.